Good morning, everyone. This is Carlos Ponce again, your host at Advancio Talks. And today, this one is episode 24 of season two. We've been around since 2022, so it's in case the show is new to you, please stay with us because our guest Paul Zikopoulos, he's going to be introducing himself in a minute. Thank you, Paul, for being here with us today. He's going to tell us all about his role at IBM and such. So thank you, Paul, for agreeing to be with us today here on Advancio Talks. Okay, so let's start. Let's start. I always start, Paul, with you, with the guest, right? So because it's the most important thing, the most important focus is you. Tell us a little bit about you. Who is Paul Zikopoulos, and a little bit about your journey, your background, anything
Yeah.
about yourself.
Yeah, you got it. First, thank you for hosting me here, Carlos. It's been a pleasure, and hi to your entire audience, which might be new to me and stuff like that. I do sound a little nasally. I might grab a drink. I had a cold, but I got a new life hack. I took some Vicks Dayquil and I poured it over some Greek yogurt for breakfast, and I'm feeling better. So there you go if you want to try that. It didn't taste as good as I thought it would, but that's life. So, Paul Zikopoulos, here's the deal. 31 years at IBM, which is crazy these days. Most people don't stay at a company for that
Yep.
long. I think it speaks volumes to what the company has offered me for my personal growth. And we can get into that later and stuff like that. But in those 31 years, so I come to IBM. I had never taken a computer course in my life. So that's one thing that will be interesting to you.
Mhm.
I came into development as an information tech writer. And then I started to get technical. So I taught myself how to program. I stayed in development for 10 years. I developed code. I worked on service. Then I went into product management. Then I went into tech sales. So I had executive positions as I'm rising through the years, a VP and a director in product management and technical sales. Now I lead skills. And during that journey, I get like more and more technical. You do that for 31 years. I always tell people if you get 1% smarter every day, you should see where you'll end up in 31 years. But
Mhm.
during that journey, then, so I had all these jobs in IBM. And then outside of IBM, I'm doing lots of stuff in the world of data. So I just published my 22nd book on data. That came out last April. I've been on the TV shows or consulted by 60 Minutes. So it's this crazy career. And that's why I call it the accidental data nerd. I went to school for business, but that's my 31 years at IBM and all parts in between, and just constantly learning every single day about technology and data. And here we are 31 years later.
There you go, 31 years old, which is it's easier said than done, I would imagine, right? So it's an interesting journey, especially in the day and age of technology where things fly so fast. But I'm curious. I am personally curious about something very specific,
Okay.
which is and I'm asking from the layman's perspective because I'm not an engineer, but just out of curiosity, what does skills, vitality, and enablement specialists do? What do you do? What does that
Yeah.
mean for the public?
Yeah. So I pretty much, if you think about it, we have an organization of 250,000 people, perhaps more at IBM. And we've gone through this inflection point of skills, which is generative AI, which I'm sure everyone has heard about. So, how do we lift the entire organization and their skills so we can go out to clients and help solve their problems using AI, re engineer their workflows? Maybe it's re engineer the applications, maybe it's host the applications in different locations, hybrid cloud, get to OpenShift, and so on and so forth. So, we look at kind of hard skills, soft skills. Hard skills might be about an IBM product or about, let's say, coding, and soft skills might be like around presenting. So I'm part of a team that goes and looks at that and leads the strategy on how we upskill the many. Because I'm going to tell you this, Carlos. I've talked to thousands of clients in my years, right? I've seen
Mhm.
successes and failures. Like one of the books I wrote was Hadoop for Dummies. So if you're around in the big data days, like that was it. It was all about the data lake. And I see the mistakes that we made. But the one thing you have to do is always learn. And, I've managed tens of thousands of profiles. I've managed folks, and I'm not an engineer by trade, right? Like I taught myself how to program. I don't think I'm very good, but I'm good enough. Um, but I came here, like I said, with a business degree. And I think what helped me for whatever mountain or pothole of a career I have, I just learn every single day. And that's
Mhm.
where my job has found me now as a guy who's been through development, user-centered design, service, product management, tech sales. What is the one common denominator for all of those things? I was learning every single day. As you said it, technology is changing so fast. I think like technology years are like dog years, 1 to 7. And so that's now my job, is to let the entire population of IBM know the future of success in your career. It's the little things that you do every single day. It's not that you got a
Right.
comp sci degree for 4 years, because it's all changing. It's showing up every single day and getting that little bit better. And that's really the ethos I try to put out, and that's what my role is.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's quite a story. And as you say, it's little things that you do every day that count. When compiled together over the course of the years, you definitely come up with something big. Now, okay, Paul. So today we're gonna be talking about something that I found it. I find the name interesting, amusing, educational. It's a combination of a lot of things because we're going to be talking about, as we agreed on the accidental data nerd from zero coding to leading IBM's tech enablement, right? So that's kind of like the topic for today's conversation. So let me open it up by asking you first of all. Um, you just describe yourself as having an accidental, almost 30 something or almost 3 decades career. It's a data nerd who came to IBM with no computer courses. So how did that newcomer's perspective shape how you now approach teaching
Yeah.
and upskilling others in technology?
So here's how I got my job at IBM. I had a friend who worked here. She said, we're hiring in the writing department. I interviewed with somebody. Again, remember, no coding experience. And the manager said, go write a couple of pages on C pointers, right? And the C programming language. So I went and researched the C programming language back then. This is like, I'm 31 years at IBM, right? So I'm 54 years old. So if you think about that, I'm like 24 or whatever. I just finished school. It's, what is it, 1994, 95. I wrote this paper, and it comes back and he writes, this is a great paper, but C plus is a drink, because I wrote about C and C plus pointers. Of course, it's C and C plus plus. And so, how did the accidental data nerd happen? He hires me, and I know nothing. Okay, all of a sudden, IBM goes through these massive layoffs. Right, it's a company almost went bankrupt at this time. Right around the time Lou Gerstner's coming in and making all these changes. And then I get moved in, and the guy, my manager, Fred Gandolfi, says, we just hired you. I saw you just bought a car. I would hate to let you go a month after. I'm going to move you the data. That's the accidental part. And then for me,
Mhm.
it was being surrounded by people who knew so much more than me. I knew nothing, right? Like they just knew so much more than me, and I just didn't feel I belonged. And I was like, I'm going to work every single day to make sure I belong. And it happened to be in data, and this is where we are. So that's the accidental part of it.
So that's the accidental part of it. Okay. Now I think it's starting to become more clear why you called it accidental. Now, in your view, what is the biggest, let's say, the biggest misconception companies have about what it takes to build an AI-ready
Yeah.
workforce?
Yeah. There's two big things. One, and I write about this in my last book. Most companies today, 99% of them, are using what I call a plus AI strategy. A plus AI strategy is we have existing workflows and we put AI on top of it. In order for you to get the most out of this transformation and opportunity that is AI, you need to go to a AI plus strategy. So you go from adding AI to re-engineering your workflows for AIs at the core, deciding where it should fit in. So for those of you that are built cloud applications, or you've taken applications from on-premises to the cloud, you may have noticed, well, they didn't get cheaper, or they weren't that much better. And that's because a lot of folks took a monolithic application and put it on the cloud. The way that you build cloud native is really take a monolithic application and break them down into microservices. And each of these components you build separately, independently, and you can independently scale them. So take that analogy, and I want you to put it to your business workflow. If I have a O2C, order to cash workflow, that does everything from billing to invoicing to tracking late payments to offering discount for early to consolidating debt and offering discount, all those pieces in between. If we just add AI on top of it, we can never re-engineer the process. So that's step
Mhm.
one. Go from adding AI to rethinking the entire business process from scratch, breaking it down into as many discrete components. Because just like in microservices, when I have these discrete components, then I can reuse them. That's what this is about, right? So now I can reuse these, and we call this composing. So here, I'm in the lab right now in Toronto in our research development lab. We don't build applications, we compose them. So think about breaking down your business processes. So you have a bunch of AI initiated pieces that you can compose into modern processes. Number two, if you're going to use AI, I always say you can't have AI without an IA. You cannot have AI without an information architecture. So I always say shitty data in is shitty data out. That's in machine learning, that's in AI, that's in Gen AI, and in agentic AI, it's going to be even more. So think about that. That's the technology side. There's a second side to
Mhm.
this, though, Carlos, that everybody gets wrong. I always tell people technology is easy, culture is hard. I'm going to come back every time to what my job is, learning. So if IBM just wanted to go and hire 50 of the greatest Gen AI experts in the world, we would not be able to grow our business and help our customers do better with their business based on those 50 people. You have to upskill the many. So the Gen AI opportunity, if you're going to lead this strategy in your company, you have to ensure that your business users get conversant or skilled in Gen AI so they know the art of the possible. Doesn't mean they go off and build their own applications, but then you can work with them. Because I think I'll summarize it with this. Every day at every company, people walk by problems they can solve or make better with technology. And if you don't know you can make it better, and I don't know, you're a bank teller in a bank and you have an old business process that no one re-engineered, it doesn't even dawn on you this can get better. So you've got to get your data right, you've got to reorganize your workflows, and you got to get your people's culture of learning geared towards how Gen AI can make you more productive. Those are the three big things.
And you said this I find also entertaining is that tech years are like dog years. So how do you design learning programs that keep pace with this accelerated evolution, especially in AI and hybrid cloud?
Yeah, I may have even misspoke. I think, yes, tech years are like dog years. Gen AI years, Carlos, they're like mice years, 1 to 30. So it's even faster, right? Like I finished that book and it came out in April, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this is out of date, this chapter here. Look at um I so as I own the learning for a company, I design learning for you to take. But there's one thing I'll never be able to overtake, and there's one tip I'll give the listeners here. Remember, I've managed thousands of profiles. I've seen distinguished engineers fall from grace. I've seen people rise. Okay, what are you doing to satisfy your curiosity? So if you're going to leave
Mhm.
it onto your employer to educate you on everything, it's never going to happen because it's changing so fast. So if I just
Right.
gave you a course and you just certified on a tool set, one of our products, whatever, and all of a sudden MCP, model context protocol, is a big thing for agents, and you haven't
Mhm.
bothered to figure out what model context protocol is, like, hey, I always call it curiosity, Carlos, because like I come across a word, I write it down, or I jump into ChatGPT on my phone, and I'm like, what is this thing? How does it affect business, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're just relying on the company to educate you, you're going to come up
Mhm.
short. But if you're using some of what the company gives you, and me, I always tell people carve out 20% of your week for learning. Some of it your company will give you, some of it you'll find yourself. Then you're going to be on the right track. So, how do I keep up? I try to always update the material. Obviously, it's AI is helping us with that. We're taking courses that used to take 2 months to build. We can do it in 2 weeks. But if I'm not giving it to the person that wants to receive the medicine, if they don't like the taste of the drink, then I all the things I could do can't help them. So that's how I would answer that.
Hmm. So now it's easy to get excited and elaborate and talk about all things technology and AI and such, right? But the way I see it is there's always, it's equally important that we talk about the human component, the people behind
Yeah.
it, the people building an organization. So here's what I would like to ask you about this is, let's say that when you are assessing IBM's talent readiness, what I call talent readiness for emerging technologies. What are the key competencies that you look for beyond technical skills?
Yeah, it's always going to come back to the same words I'm going to say before, right? The curious. I would advise to any talent management organization, if we go to HR, we get some recruiters bringing in our young talent. For me, it's, are you curious? Because especially if it's emerging technology and it's going to change so fast, if I can't attach curiosity almost as a hobby, a learning hobby, then you're going to miss the steps in between. So those are the pieces. Hire the right group, hire the right people. And the other thing, Carlos, is you've got to set the culture from the top. So there's this old Greek saying. It says, "Topsari navromaya potokofali," which means the fish rots from the head. So if the leadership is going to stay technical and ahead, so if I'm a leader and I'm going and talking about model context protocol or agent to agent A2A protocols and stuff like that, then the people that are coming in and I'm expecting to learn are like, wow, he's doing that. I better do that, right? Or she's doing that. We should do that. And so those are the key things on emerging technologies. And then making it available. So giving a sandbox so people can play with the technology. That's number one. Because, I remember back in the day, I had done my certification in DB2, Oracle, and SQL Server. So I was a big DB2 guy. I wrote like 10 books on that database, and I knew database, but I earned my certification on SQL Server and Oracle, and I'd never had to fine tune an SGA or PGA memory buffer for production on Oracle. Was I really a certified Oracle DBA? I don't know about that. So you can learn lots in the books, but if you don't get your hands on, that's the other thing. Get your hands on and get them on early.
Mhm. Definitely, definitely. So um, this is very interesting. So I like to move on now. We're still kind of touching on the human element and the approach to talent, the transformation, talent transformation. So you oversee learning journeys from IBM's entire technology unit. Sales, tech sales, and partners. How do you balance the different the learning needs across such diverse roles while maintaining a consistent AI and cloud competency baseline?
Yeah, it's been really hard, but we had a breakthrough. That breakthrough was AI. So let me tell you, before we didn't have the human manpower to balance the different needs. I love how you brought that up because like some people are technical, some people are sales, but you both need to know about, let's say, a product or the value proposition. Some folks need to learn how to deploy or do a POC, a proof of concept. Then I have a whole partner ecosystem, which is huge. And then what is one person's technical is another person's what, right? When everyone tells me they're technical, I don't know what I'm going to get because I'm used to working with fellows and distinguished engineers in the lab. So I never know what technical means. So unfortunately, we had to just create one monolithic piece of education, and you had to take it. Now, I had something for sales and tech sales, but I never really met you where you were. So if you were brand new, let's say you're a security expert and you came to database, did you understand like disaster recovery? Did you understand foreign key, primary key? I just assumed you did or you didn't. So if you were in database for 10 years, you had to take your education, you were going to learn about referential integrity, foreign key, primary key, and you already knew this, or you knew about ACID or atomicity, durability, and that of transactions. But that didn't work right. So we've been inventing this tool built on AI using our Watson X platform, where we'll go and interact with the user and dynamically generate them a learning plan based on where they are and where we need them to get to with a backend rubric. So imagine you getting with an AI and having a conversation just like this, right? It's live, you get asked questions, I respond. The AI goes back, it looks at it. Maybe you got a score of 60. I understand disaster recovery really, really well, but I don't understand the value proposition of disaster recovery. So, for example, every second of downtime in finance could cost $200,000, let's say, right? So I can't articulate to a client as a tech seller, even though I know the components behind it. So then we'll generate a learning plan. That learning plan will have some PowerPoints that are scripted, have some videos, and even some podcasts for exactly what we need you to know. So that's what we're doing to kind of tailor it to everybody. And that's just started rolling out last week, and we're going to roll it out for all of IBM in January. We're super excited
Mhm.
about it. We spent 6 months building it. Lots of agents going to work. It's not going to be perfect. I always say progress, not perfection. And so now we have two kinds of learning. One is, what's the linear traditional learning path? Give me zero to hero. And the other is, give me what I need to know. So the reason why I do this, Carlos, is not just to meet you where you are, but in the learning journey, you'll see it goes like this, like a curve. So you have the learning curve where you take a course, and then you have what I call the forgetting curve, where you forget 60% of what you learned because you're not using it. So then there's this other piece called the scramble learning curve, right? So now you're going to go see a client. I got to go quickly learn. They have a product like watsonx.data. I forget those details. This is what I want to talk to the client about. Come quiz me, see what I know, and generate me a learning plan for this client and their problems. These are all the things that we've been working on.
Okay, okay, and I understand you wrote an O'Reilly book on hybrid cloud, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, uh, what is the one concept about hybrid cloud that every tech professional needs to understand, regardless of the
Yeah,
role?
yeah. Great question. So I've done 3 books with O'Reilly. I really like working with the O'Reilly publisher. 2 on AI, 1 on cloud. Cloud was called Cloud Without Compromise. Um, and it was all the things that I think people need to know about cloud and all the mistakes that those who have made went to the cloud, those who have been successful on the cloud. I referred to one of them earlier, and that is breaking down your applications into microservices and building cloud native. But I've had to give you a tagline. This is it. You ready? Cloud is a capability, not a destination. So everyone thinks that cloud has to be into the cloud on a superscaler or something like that, or hyperscaler. But why would I not want the benefits of cloud on premises? There may be many reasons to put things on premise. You know what the hottest topic in cloud right now is? Sovereign cloud, right? With all that's going on geopolitically in the world. So my premise in the book was, look, I don't care whether you're in the public cloud, private cloud, or whether you're running on premise. Depending on the use case, you may still want to run on premise.
Mhm.
You might have governance controls. I'll give you a great use case. I worked with an auto manufacturer that was using computer vision, convolutional neural network at the time, to look for defects on weld joints as it went through the manufacturing line.
Mhm.
They went to do that on the public cloud, and it would have been like 8 to 10 times more expensive. Instead they did it on premise, set up the cameras, run it with the servers, and saved a ton of money. But they built it cloud native because cloud was a capability, not a destination.
Mhm.
So you build the application cloud native, you decide where to run it. Applications that run 100% of the time on premise might be more expensive in the cloud. That's something a lot of people got wrong. You're seeing some repatriation. I'm not saying cloud on premise. I say hybrid cloud. Run wherever you want.
Mhm.
Multiple clouds, multiple on premise, all as one application. So that's how I would say that. Answer that.
There you have it, folks. Cloud is a capability, not a destination. That's for everybody to remember. So I just make sure that it's right there, so that we don't forget. Um, all this, there's, I mean, I got a whole bunch of questions. Unfortunately, we have limited time, but I would like to ask you next: what role does AI itself play in how you're training people for AI? Are you using AI to accelerate the learning process?
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways. I've alluded to them a little bit earlier, but like I'll frame it out. One is we use AI to generate content quicker, right? So after generating, let's say, thousands of courses over the couple of years, we know what's a 5-star course, what's a 3-star course. We know what learners need to understand, et cetera, et cetera. So we've grabbed that knowledge and put them into agents. So now, like, I take a PowerPoint deck, for example, and my agents go through it and they'll script the deck, right? They'll generate a video for the deck, and so people can take that. That's how we do that instant learning. So AI has helped us there. AI has also helped us to reach people in new and engaging ways. Look, we all learn differently. Personally, I still, you're going to show it to you right here because I'm doing it. I know I'm supposed to be a technology guru guy. I still print out and I still circle stuff on stuff I like to read. I don't
You're like
know.
you're like
Yeah,
me.
I like to do that. I really do. And I still feed this into the AI and I use RAG and ask it questions. But then I highlight, you can see, I know I want to make a slide. This was a great talking point. But not everyone's going to be like me. Some people, they want to learn with short podcasts, right? So we'll generate a podcast. I don't know why people have this, but it comes up enough, Carlos. Had to do something about it. I give you a 30-minute video, and people are like, we don't learn well in 30-minute videos. We learn well in 3 to 5 minute videos. So I give you 6 5-minute videos. I don't know what the difference is. 6 times 5 is 30. But for some reason, some of your learners want to learn that way. So if you want to learn in 6 5-minute videos, the AI will cut up 6 5-minute videos for you. So we're really trying to connect to the interest and the modality and the way you like to learn. Some folks like to learn in role play. So right now, my sellers, you can imagine, let's say I just hired you to digital sales. So you're making cold calls. We'll have an AI call you and have a real conversation with you, ask you tough questions. We can set the personality to be favorable or difficult or impossible. And so you'll have this conversation with this AI, trying as if you were trying to sell a product or open an opportunity. So these are all new modalities of working, which is made possible by AI.
We're unfortunately we're reaching the final segments of today's conversation. We're coming up on time. There's I only have one more question for you. Is for companies that don't have IBM's resources, what are the three most impactful steps they can take today to start building AI ready teams?
Yeah, I love that question. IBM's a big company, lots of resources, but honestly, being big can also affect how nimble and agile you can be. So I would never look at size as why I can't get going with AI. First and foremost, I think we've talked about this: skills and culture, right? Those are critical. You don't have to be. In fact, it's harder to build a culture in a larger company than is a small company. So use that to your advantage. Set it at the top. You'll see folks going. How you hire curiosity. And C is just get started. There aren't really any guardrails, or sorry, there's no friction to you getting started with AI. What you have to decide is what's the use case and how you're going to put your data to work and not share your valuable data, right? So companies don't go out, very few companies go and build large language models, right? Like your Meta, your Google, IBM. So you're just going to use models. Now, what you have to decide is the stuff that's not in those models. Now, think about this for a moment. 99, so think about what a large language model is. So ChatGPT, Gemini, it's just an indexing of the internet. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
So 99% of their data is not enterprise data. It's not your data. Your data is a super valuable asset. You have all the cards to play. So the third thing to be successful, on top of the things we talked about, like going from plus AI to AI plus, is to say, what am I going to do with that data? Am I going to just throw that data up in the cloud and some vendor gets to use that data for their own training or whatever? Or am I going to think of new techniques so that I can leverage a model and use data? And so that's where, when you learn, you start to see new ways of doing this, creating ALOR adapters or getting involved with Olama and being able to run the models locally so the data never leaves your on premise. And why would I do that? Maybe I have some very sensitive sales data. I'm going to run that on premise, not share it. But maybe I need a description of my office. Well, I'm happy to give that to Gemini or ChatGPT. So those are the three things: culture, skills, use cases, and put it to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could go on and on with this topic, but unfortunately, we're coming up on time now. What are the final word? This is something I always ask my guests: is if you had to leave the audience with some final words of wisdom that you would like to be remembered by after the show is over, what would this be? It could be anything. Just feel free, feast away. What is it?
I'll give you two things. One is that the Dayquil on top of Greek yogurt actually works, because when I woke up this morning, I was like, "How am I going to be possible? I can't even breathe right now." So that's a neat hack. You alluded to it earlier. What is the intersection of humanity with AI? And people are like, "Is this going to be the end of civilization?" Right? And us humans, we have this way of inventing things that helps us and that could destroy us. Think of nuclear energy, nuclear medicine, and nuclear war. And so this is no different. Now, where do humans sit in the loop? I think that AI will be a net job creator in the end, but there's going to be disruption along the way. So what do you do? I keep talking about it. Be curious in your skills. Because when I grew up, they were blue collar and white collar jobs, but now it's all new collar jobs. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter whether you're in the boardroom or you work in the boiler room in the factory. AI is going to be in your environment. So if
Mhm.
you embrace that, you'll put yourself in a great position to continue employment. But it's not just continue employment, it's choose the jobs you want to do. So that's it. I don't, if you're a plumber, if you're an accountant, get familiar with AI because may not be coming for your job if you know AI, but it's going to come for the job for the person who doesn't know AI. I can promise you that. So that's what I would leave you with.
That was a good one, definitely, definitely. So, David, how can people who, if there's someone out there in the audience wants to reach out to you or contact you, how can they do it? Do you have Are you on LinkedIn,
Yep.
email?
Yeah. Find me on LinkedIn. Actually, if you go and you search my last name and type AI value creators, you could probably get a copy of the book for free, or maybe we could post. I never thought about that, sending you the QR code. We'll give you a free download of the book. Maybe they can reach out to you for that kind of stuff. But just find me on LinkedIn and connect. Follow me there. A
Right
lot of
there.
the stuff in the book I talk about.
We just put
Oh,
it
there
right
you go,
there.
right there. Perfect.
LinkedIn and Paul Zikopoulos, and then there's a number, right?
Yeah.
But LinkedIn always makes it hard for us to remember all those long numbers after a name. But
Yeah, you just type in my name. There's not a. I think I'm the only Paul Zikopoulos in the world, so you should be able to find
yeah, I
me.
mean, there's not. I'm sure there's not a lot of Pauls and Copolos out
Yeah.
there, so it's going to be a lot easier, folks. But if you need it, there it is. That's the URL right there. Is that the only way to go? Do you have an email or?
Yeah, that's probably the best way. That's where I kind of go through, and then we'll make a connection and go through there on stuff like that.
And then, if I recall correctly, you work for a company that some people, it kind of rings a bell, right? I think it's called IBM, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I don't know if I mentioned it earlier or not, but yeah, that those 31 years have been at IBM or International Business Machines. But yes, it's and some people ask me, why are you still at IBM? How could you be there for so long? And I have to tell you, maybe I could have made more money elsewhere, probably for sure, right? Do you know the best part of being at IBM was is they invested in my growth and I invested in their growth. And I think
There
I
you
don't
go.
know if other companies had that culture for me to invent. I would have never written 22 books if I didn't work at IBM. I believe that. So I believe we invested in each other, and that's why I'm still here, and that's why things are great.
There you go. And that's easy to remember. Look, IBM.com doesn't get any easier than that. So thank you, Paul, for having been with us on the show. Let me just mention something really quick that there's an upcoming section on Advancio Talks' website, and it's right there, /Tech Talks. And just go there, keep an eye on there because we're going to make announcements of what's coming next week. We're going to be closing the year with a few more incredible conversations with tech luminaries from different spaces, different verticals, all sorts of angles, all of them related to technology, of course. So it's right there, Advancio /tech-talks. So that being said, Paul, please stay with me as we go off the air, and the rest of you folks out there, thank you for joining us today in one more edition of Advancio Talks. Until next time, you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.